Hi everyone, I'm Carlota Pico from the Content Mix, and I'm excited to be here today with Lawrence Roberts, who is EMEA Marketing and Communications Manager for IT Services, IT Training, Next Generation Solutions at Tech Data, and has over 20 years of experience in marketing and communications. Welcome, Lawrence, and thank you so much for joining us today on the Content Mix.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, so thank you.
So I'm under the understanding that Tech Data is a pretty large company, and to get this interview started off, I'd like to learn a little bit about your role at Tech Data and also about Tech Data itself. What does it do? What types of services does it offer its clients? Who are your clients? And those type of very broad subjects that I'd like to just focus on right now so that later on we can talk about marketing and your role within Tech Data.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So let me put Tech Data into context. So anyone who's watching this who's perhaps not familiar with Tech Data. Tech Data as a company, it has revenues around about 37 billion. Now, I mean, we are one of the largest companies most people might not have heard of, but that's intentional and that's deliberate. What we do is we are an IT distributor. So we supply the IT channel with technology, solutions and services from many of the world's largest IT providers. So in there, we're talking about IBM, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Cisco, HP, you name it. Those technology providers are part of our portfolio. And our role is to help those IT providers around the world build solutions to solve today's business challenges. If I look at who we're serving, we're probably serving something like 125,000 different channel partners around the world. We operate in 40 countries, but we serve about 100 countries. And we sell something like 150,000 products every year. So it's a big operation. It's an exciting operation, and it's full of innovation and change.
That's extremely exciting. So what does it mean to be marketing communications manager for IT services, IT training, and next generation solutions at such a large company that operates in so many markets worldwide?
Sure. It means a lot of work and a lot of fun. We have to stay ahead of of technology. And technology, as we know, is an industry that changes very rapidly and very, very fast. My role is to work with some of the latest next generation technologies. And we are trying to help our partners, our customers, move in to be able to sell those technologies and build solutions around those technologies for their customers. So I have a European role at Tech Data, which means I'm serving the European countries. So we have quite a complex matrix structure. But that does mean that we take a global view and we apply that on a local country by country basis. And it's brilliant because I get to see so many different fantastic technologies and work with some wonderful people.
So does that also mean that you're working with local startups, especially growth startups, and that you're matching those growth startups with potentially corporate technology service providers or different technology hubs in order to provide your clients with the best solutions right now?
So the answer to that is on both sides. So what we do is we work with startups and established companies from our customer perspective, but we also do the same on the vendor side. So some technology vendors are well established, like IBM and HP and Cisco and things, and Microsoft. But we also work with some very interesting startup organizations on the technology vendor side, because what we're doing is we're focusing on building solutions around cloud, around the Internet of Things, IoT, cybersecurity, and there's some amazing technologies that can help solve some business challenges that we're seeing today.
Okay. Those topics seem like very difficult and complicated topics to talk about when it comes to marketing and communications, because it's such a technical industry and it requires so much technical information that your everyday audience may not necessarily understand right off the bat. So I do want to talk about thought leadership, since you've identified that as your area of strength. And I want to ask you how you are incorporating thought leadership into your marketing strategy. But before we get to that, let me just define what thought leadership is for our audience. So according to HubSpot, thought leadership is a tactic content marketers use to build credibility for themselves or leaders in their company. The main goal of thought leadership is to become recognized as an expert and used as a go-to resource in your field. So according to that definition, how are you incorporating thought leadership into your marketing strategy, Lawrence?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've been doing thought leadership now for a number of years. What we're trying to do is, look, Tech Data's role is to connect the world with the power of technology. That's what we're here to do. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to show our customers how they can use some of the latest technologies to solve business challenges. How do they innovate? And this is where thought leadership is brilliant. We are very fortunate as Tech Data because there's very few companies in the technology industry that have the visibility of the industry as a good distributor. Because we're working with so many different technology vendors, we see the view from their view of the world. We're working with so many partners and we see their view of the world. And we are obviously part of an important ecosystem as well. And that allows us to pull together all those thoughts, all those ideas, all the technology, and start building together some very interesting ways of solving some challenges. IoT is a perfect example. We started off with IoT, looking at how you can use the Internet of Things technology to solve particular vertical market business challenges. So you work with we have some industry experts, and we sit down and we pull their thoughts together. We have a fantastic PR agency, and a big shout out here to Allison Partners that we use, and they work tirelessly with us to pull together these ideas. And together we all work and pull together a thought leadership article that helps explain what is very complex, but in a way that's easy to understand. I think the technology industry is very quick to make things too technical. And one of the things that we try and do with thought leadership is actually make it so that somebody can pick it up and read it, and they don't have to live in your world to understand it. And that's really important because thought leadership is about conveying meaning. If you can't convey meaning, then what's the point? One of the skills I think of being a marketeer in this industry is being able to take the complex and make it simple. Work with technical people who are very close to the technical detail and pull out the key meanings and be able to articulate that in such a way that, you know, your mum, your dad, your uncle, your brother, your sister could read that article. And that's my litmus test. If I give that to somebody else and they can't understand it, I need to go back and rework it.
Yes. Definitely. And that's music to my ears. I mean, that's what I was trained in back in the day when I was an entrepreneur. It was really about if my father, who is 83 years old, does not understand what I am saying, there is no reason that I should say that to anybody else, because it's going to go over their head, and what I'm trying to communicate is never going to actually reach my audience and therefore my potential clients as well. I do want to put some of this talk into the walk, which means that I'd love to talk about some of the most creative thought leadership marketing campaigns that you've led or admired, and why.
Sure. So one of the things that we've done with our thought leadership is we've used it to drive our social presence. It's been really important because, you know, in some of these ways we're creating new markets here and new opportunities, and we've worked with different experts in our business to pull together whole streams of different thought leadership articles, and we have then taken them and published them on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and they have driven our social presence for a number of years now, because we find that they get great readership coverage, and they help elevate our brand in those industries, in those technologies, to where they need to be. We need people to be looking at us as their trusted advisor. So by publishing these articles on a regular basis, people get used to seeing Tech Data, and it helps open the doors.
Lawrence, you make all of this sound so easy, and I'm sure it's much more complicated than what it actually sounds. And I know that marketers every single day are struggling to create valuable content and also engaging content for their different audience. So I do want to ask you for tips, advice, or insights for marketers who are struggling to create valuable content. What would you say to them?
So content is key, right? Absolutely. Everything revolves around having great quality content. Now, the way to do that, there isn't necessarily a shortcut way. What you have to do is read. I mean, I lifelong learning. I'm a firm believer in lifelong learning, and you have to be passionate about what you're doing. I love technology, which is why I work here at Tech Data, because I'm passionate about learning about technologies. So I take the time in my diary to read the articles in the trade publications. I take the opportunities to jump on calls, training calls with the teams, and learn and listen. We have some wonderful people within Tech Data, some really clever people. And I pick their brains. I ask them questions, sometimes too many questions, but I pick their brains, ask them, what is it? And I try and get to the crux of it and the meaning. And it's by understanding the meaning that I can then convey that into a simple message and into thought leadership.
Okay, so basically what you're doing is you're centering your content around your audience rather than around your company. You're listening to your clients, you're listening to your potential clients, and you're really trying to solve their problems rather than just advertising your solutions.
Oh, absolutely. So I think advertising your solutions is not the way to lead thought leadership. What you're looking at doing is we try to identify the business challenge. What is the business challenge that our customers are having to try and build a technology to solve, solution to solve for their own customers? And we're very fortunate, as I mentioned earlier, that we work with a lot of fantastic technology vendors and a lot of great customers. And we pull all that information together, and it's that drives our thought leadership.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like you're also really humanizing your content, right? Although you're a business-to-business company, you are very aware that you are talking to humans at the end of the day, because behind every business, there's a group of humans running that business, right? And buying your products. So it does sound like you are talking to your consumers as people rather than as companies.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, our customers have different personas as well. So some of our customers are very technical. And so you want to talk to that persona. Other parts of our customers are salespeople. So they're selling the technology. We have customers that are running those businesses. So the director type persona. And of course, you have the marketing persona. So what we try and do is look at the persona we're talking to and making sure that we're talking directly to those people. Because if you don't talk to them, then you become irrelevant. And it's about ultimately changing behavior. So we need to convince them that there's a different behavior and this is how they can do it.
Okay, excellent. Moving into your experience in social media and brand management, I want to talk a little bit about the recent Black Lives Matter movement and brands from around the world's response to it. So what do you think? Should brands react to social issues on their social channels? And if so, what type of brands, in what manner, and why?
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know, I think it comes down to looking at what matters to your customers, to your employees, and to your vendors. With the Black Lives Matter movement, I saw an article from Meltwater recently where they showed you the traffic around Black Lives Matters versus COVID lockdown versus the Super Bowl versus all the other things that have happened this year, and it dwarfs all the other stuff on Twitter. Tech Data is reliant on people from all around the world, from all backgrounds, to run our business. We have, as a business, a core values around inclusion and integrity. Now, if it matters to our employees, if it matters to our customers, it matters to us. And what I would say is I've been really impressed with our global team at Tech Data. We've had our CEO, Rich Hume, come out publicly and state that it matters and do a fantastic message. And earlier this week, there was a wonderful video. It was for internal employees about why this matters. Tech Data is taking it very seriously. And I think if you don't react to those things, silence also speaks volumes too. So you need to be authentic and you need to show that if your customers, if your employees are hurting, you'd normally put an arm around them and say that we care. And what's the difference with social? Now, there are some areas where perhaps we don't necessarily go into, so we don't tend to talk about political issues because, that's down to subjective personal views. But something like Black Lives Matters, it impacts all of us. And Tech Data's been really good at showing it cares about that.
Mm-hmm. Lawrence, I love how you're bringing it back to your people as well, to your employees, that you're not only focusing on your clients, your potential clients, but that you're also talking about this openly because your employees care about it as well. And you're creating a company and a company culture that your employees can feel proud of and that can also resonate with them.
Yeah, I've been really proud of the way the tech data's got through this last year with the COVID lockdown, and their responsibility towards their employees has been phenomenal. They've been incredibly flexible, and the attitude of the senior leaders has been amazing. And the same with the Black Lives Matters. It's been absolutely so impressive.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure your senior leadership will definitely appreciate that shout out that you just gave them. Okay, on a similar note, I do also want to talk about COVID-19. It has impacted industries across all fields and worldwide as well. And some brands have decided to address the issue head on, while other brands have decided to go radio silent. So, from your vast experience, how can a brand connect and retain their audience's attention through these very unstable times?
Well, I don't know about vast experience. I don't think many of us have been through this period before, but what I would say is about being authentic again. If your customers are hurting and your employees are hurting, you have to deal with these issues head on. You have to tackle them, and they're difficult. Now, what we've been very careful to do at Tech Data is modify messaging. You need to be, as a company, very careful not to be seen to be profiteering from this, because, I mean, let's face it, technology has actually been one of those areas where there's been a huge need for it in this period. We've done a lot of work to effectively help show organizations how to help employees work remotely from home, how to help them improve collaboration when they're working from home, how to improve security when they're working from home as well, because that's a major issue right now for a lot of organizations. Not only that, how do you then help organizations return to work? How do you make workspaces safe with IoT technologies? So room space occupancy and things like that. How do you make retail environments safe? How do you then not help organizations have a hybrid approach where you've got some working from the office and some working from home? So we've done a lot of work around marketing to change our message and change the solution. So in some ways, we almost put on hold what we were doing and switched to what our customers really need today, and which is helping them work from home remotely, securely, and helping them return to work remotely and securely. But doing it in a way that's sensitive, that at the end of the day, we recognize there are some businesses that aren't going to come out of the back of this. We've lost, sadly, loved ones, that are close to us. People are suffering. We recognize that. What our role is to do now is to help give our customers the solutions that they need to tackle the threats that they're facing.
Mm-hmm. So on that note, let's give a shout out to all those companies who throughout these very difficult times have proven and shown that they care about their customers and that they care about people in general, regardless of the sale at the end of the day, right? And also let's give a shout out to the caretakers who have had our back throughout the entire health crisis and who are continuously giving back to society in a very generous manner. I do want to also comment on your response. So basically what you're doing is you're empathizing with your customers, right? You're putting yourself in their shoes and thinking about what worries them at this very moment rather than just what you could sell to them.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, if your mother or your father or your brother or sister was hurting, you talk to them about what they need. You don't go and say, I can tell you this. It's about relating to them and being a human at the end of the day, being a decent individual and saying, okay, this is the challenge you're finding. We've got these solutions here that I think might help you get through this next challenge.
Mm-hmm. I love how you keep on bringing it back to family. I'm a big family person, and I love when companies always look at their clients as their mother, their father, their brother, their sister, their friend, because I think it really helps a brand to humanize their marketing material and to really show that they're in it. Excuse me, they're in it because they love what they do and they believe in the value that their product will offer to their customer.
And I think in the technology industry, it's a very niche industry in some ways, and you are part of an ecosystem, you're part of a family, and you will often bump into the same people, although different roles in different companies. You'll bump into them over your career. It's one of the things that I've learned is that you need to maintain and evolve those relationships, because they help you, maybe not now, but maybe in 5-10 years time, they come back and they serve you really well. So it's about keeping those relationships healthy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we are going to move into our set of rapid fire questions, unfortunately, because our time is so limited. Although I would love to keep on picking your brain on your social media strategy and your thought leadership marketing campaigns and everything like that. But I'm sure your recommendations will be as equally inspiring and also valuable. So to get the section started off, I'd like to ask you about your source of inspiration. So for example, an influencer, a professional role model, anybody and anyone that you would admire and that you're constantly learning from.
One of the people that I've admired most of my careers is the ex-chief executive Roy Valley from Avnet. Before I worked for Tech Data, I was part of Avnet, and Avnet was acquired by Tech Data. When I was at Avnet, I had an opportunity to work with Roy on a press interview, and sometimes you just know when you're in the presence of a great mind, and a really great mind. And I remember doing a press interview with him in London. He'd flown over. We were journalists, and we were in the room, and you could see this mind think, and you just knew it was immense. It was amazing the way he was able to articulate himself, and the questions they were asking, and the way he was able to come together with some incredible answers. And I look at people like that, and I just think, wow, amazing. And they inspire me. They inspire me to want to learn, want to develop my own skills, and become better and try and fulfill my own potential.
Mm-hmm. Well, Lawrence, what about a book or a publication that you'd like to recommend to our audience?
I've got a book just here for you.
I love visuals.
Oh, there you go.
Wonderful.
Stephen Covey. I think that's a brilliant book. And do you know why I think that's such a great book? Because it tells you to understand why you're doing these things. I think one of the things that frustrates me most is you come across some individuals sometimes who are going through the motions but don't understand the why. And the important thing, I think, for us as marketers is to understand that why. Why are we doing this? What difference is it going to make? Why are we doing that campaign? Why are we trying to encourage a greater presence on social? Why do we want more social advocates, employees taking that message out through their social channels? It's that why piece. And I think what Stephen Covey does really well is makes you think about, why am I doing this? Why is this happening?
Okay. Would you mind reading the title of that book off for us, please?
Yeah, of course. So Stephen R. Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Okay, thank you. And then moving into our last question of today's interview. It's going to be your favorite app at the moment and why, of course.
Oh, no, okay. I'm going to give this with a caveat. So one of the apps that I've really got into this year is TikTok.
Okay.
Now, I say a caveat because there are some very serious security concerns around TikTok. And I'm not advocating that anyone uses TikTok per se. Some people you speak to, it's fine. Others, I work in the cybersecurity industry very much, and I've spoken to some people who advise the security agencies, and they think it's Satan's spawn. They're very anti it. But what's important about TikTok, and what's really interesting, is the content. The way that TikTok is able to serve up really engaging, really relevant content that is really easy to consume. It's a bit like Twitter mixed with YouTube. Mm-hmm. Now, as a marketer, I'm fascinated because it hooks you in and you can see the algorithms working. Now, that ability, that power to serve up engaging, relevant content that's easy to consume, that's a marketer's dream. That's amazing. So, I mean, I've been really fascinated with that actual app and how it works. The other app I love, of course, is TED Talks. I mean, I think that's fantastic as well. So download TED Talks. Maybe think about TikTok, but look at how TikTok works. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of both of those apps. TikTok, more for entertaining reasons. I find it extremely entertaining and a great way to just disconnect from my everyday responsibilities. I haven't yet implemented it on a professional level. I'll have to take a look into how brands can use TikTok in order to create more focused communities. And then when it comes to TED Talk, I mean, I'm the biggest fan of TED Talks. They're so inspiring. They're full of great content. And I mean, it's also a great opportunity to meet people or to get to know about different people from across the world and their interests and how they tackle everyday obstacles.
One of the things that I should go back to about TikTok that you can do is you can actually influence the algorithm. By choosing what you like and what you engage with, you can see that algorithm changing. And then you can start getting not just entertaining content, you can also get very informative content. So I've found a lot of great content around cybersecurity, ironically. So your content changes depending on what you engage with. And that is, change the whole experience of the platform. And that's what makes it so powerful. It's really clever like that. But the TED Talks is just, I think it's the best thing. I think it's one of the best apps on the internet.
I agree. I'll have to take a closer look at TikTok as well when it comes to its algorithm. Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay. No worries.
Lawrence, those were great tips. Thank you so much for joining us on the Content Mix. It was fabulous to meet you and also to pick your brain on the tech industry and social media strategies and thought leadership marketing campaigns. I learned so much, and I'm sure our audience did as well, and they really benefited from our talk today.
Oh, thank you. I've really enjoyed this opportunity. So thank you. It's been wonderful. I've enjoyed talking to you. Thank you.
The pleasure has been ours. And thank you everyone for listening in. For more perspectives on the content marketing industry in Europe, check out the Content Mix. We'll be releasing interviews just like this one every week, so keep on tuning in. Thanks again. Have a wonderful day and see you next time. Bye.